Okay, so I've got a really interesting question for you today. And
Yes.
it's not necessarily a rumor because this complete fucking Mark has admitted it. And this complete fucking Mark I'm talking about is Tommy Dreamer. Now, apparently, Tommy Dreamer pitched an idea to Paul Heyman where the lights would go out, they'd come on, a red light would be on his shoulder, and an actual sniper would shoot him between the chest and shoulder. And Paulie didn't want to do it because he's like, what if the bullet ricocheted or something and hit somebody in the crowd? Why would anyone be dumb enough to say, why don't you shoot me for an angle with a real bullet?
Now I heard, I don't know how much that is true, but I had heard it was later on after ECW went down that Tommy lost his shit and was going to actually kill fucking Boy.
Yeah, he was going to shoot him at WrestleMania or something like that.
Yeah, I mean I just heard these things. Like I don't know exactly what went down, but I just heard these accusations and I was just like pretty shocked because Dreamer was always like Paul Heyman's boy. You know what I mean? That was pretty much how it was in ECW, you know?
Well, he said, and I've got his quote. It was from when he was doing his podcast. This is Dreamer saying this. So I pitched this to Paul. I want to go out there in the ECW arena. We were famous for turning the lights off and turning the lights on, and someone would be there. So I wanted to go out there, and word had gone out on what was going on in the talent raid. It's the era of wrestling dirt sheets. So I came up with the idea where I'd stand in the middle of the arena, I would address the situation, then the lights would go off, then they'd come back on and nothing. Then I'd look to my left and look to my right, nothing changes. Maybe it was just a power surge. Then I'd start talking and telling the tale of what went down. Then out of nowhere, I'd see a red dot in my shoulder. Then I'd look and go, huh? And I'd get shot for real in the arena.
That was probably insanity days when he came up with that idea because I mean that's like crossing the line there. That's crazy. So I don't know. I mean, back then we were all trying to think of anything. I broke my neck, so I didn't have to really come up with much shit because that was a big enough angle as it was. But everybody else, they all had to come up with different angles to try to get their angle to be the biggest angle in the building in the company.
But was he
So
that
I
fucking
mean,
dumb? He would have let somebody shoot him just so he could come back and feud with the shooter?
it doesn't make any sense. I mean, we were at the point where we have to like keep it on a steady fucking road. You know what I mean? That's like jumping on a bridge and jumping off of it, man, right there.
I
So
mean, was he that big of an idiot?
I don't know, man. I don't know what he was thinking. I mean, if that's true, he was actually out of his fucking mind, I'm going to say. How about that?
I mean, because I've seen him get a cement block broke on his balls. I've seen Cornette hit him so hard with a racket that he had to get his testicles drained. He got thrown off a fucking balcony. I mean, I saw a house show. He got thrown into a dumpster that was actually full of stuff, getting thrown into cars. I mean, I could see him wanting to get stabbed or shot or something. It just, I don't see what the end game would be to that.
I I'm baffled about that because I mean, even if I would have heard about it then, I would have been scratching my head, you know. But like I said, I mean, it was tough. You gotta, like I said, and he was in good angles and with Raven, with Sandman. I mean, he had good runs, with those guys, especially Raven. I mean, that went on for years. But like I said, man, me breaking my neck and that happened with Shane Douglas. I mean, I have to say that I think that was the best angle that we've ever had in the company. It surpassed so many different angles.
Well, and your angle was, based on, a legitimate accident, whereas Dreamer just punished himself. I mean, he just destroyed his body. I mean, was he that desperate to have the fans like him, or was he just? I don't know. I've never seen anyone try to maim themselves like he did.
Yeah, I mean, like you had said a couple times, he got seriously hurt. He had to go to the hospital numerous amounts of times, especially when Jerry the King Lawler hit him with the cane, the kendo stick to the nuts. He fucking took that to his balls. I mean, I heard he had fucking basketball nuts. They had to drain him. That's how bloated.
I mean, I guess at the end of the day, he ended up with Beulah, so he's doing okay.
Yeah, he's still kicking and he's still working shows. I see him around here and there on the road.
Now he at the arena show that you guys just did the big anniversary show?
No, he was not. He was not invited.
Really? Do you have any idea why?
Well, when he was doing his what was that, Ring of Honor, or not Ring of
Oh,
Honor,
House of Hardcore.
House of Hardcore, he would never book any of the ECW guys. I mean, we would even be, some of our guys would even be at the signings. And I remember I even contacted him once. He's like, nah, don't need you. I remember Fonzie was actually there doing autographs. And he was like, why can't I be on the show? I'm already here. I'm already here from Florida. Why can't I just be on the show? And he's like, oh, I don't want it to be too much like an ECW show. And that's what he said. So I think he got a lot of heat for that. And when it was time for the Extreme Reunion, they all pretty much said, you know what, he's supposed to be one of the boys, but when it comes down to it, technically maybe he's not. You know what I mean? Maybe he don't care. He only cares about himself. So who knows?
So you run a company called the House of Hardcore with hardcore matches in the ECW arena, but you don't want it to be like an ECW show.
Correct.
That's a whole nother level of stupid right there, in my opinion.
I agree with you 100%. And like I said, if anything, it just costed him heat because, I mean, doing that company was a good thing at one point. I mean, Vince was even haggling with him to stop doing it, and he would pay him. He was going to pay him to stop.